athletes and fans of bodybuilding, Tarek El-Gindi with the Mr. Olympia. Today, we have a young man that has turned pro as a light heavy at the NPC USA's. He proceeded to compete in the 212. Then he moved on to the open category where he won the New York Pro in 2023. And then he proceeded to win the California State in 2024. He's back at the Mr. Olympia, where he already placed 8th place in 2023. Welcome to the show, Tonio Burton. How are you?
I'm good. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely, yes. You're rich and famous now, and we'll bring you on. Also with us, he's the 1987 national champion. He's won the Arnold Classic, the Ironman. He's a Hall of Famer. Chris Cormier doesn't like that, but it is a fact. Sean Ray, how are you, Sean?
I'm good. And Tonio, were you born after 87?
Yeah.
You missed a lot of good stuff.
I wish I could have seen that.
Oh, you would have missed Chris Cormier crying. You'll see that sooner or later.
Poor Chris Cormier. Chris Cormier proceeded to win his pro card in 1993. Yes, but we're not going to bring him here anymore. Also with us, one of the best writers in bodybuilding. He wrote many years for Muscular Development. He's part of the Ron Harris Muscle Show podcast, one of the best podcasts in bodybuilding. Good evening, Ron Harris. How are you?
Doing great, Tarek. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tonio, I'll start with you. You won the Cal Pro. And, I did Olympia News today, and I looked at that lineup. And I got to tell you, my friend, and you don't have to be diplomatic, but it was a very convincing victory.
Yeah, we, after New York, that was a hard loss. And I remember getting with Justin. I told him, hey, this show, I want to come in and, just sweep it. I don't want it to be closed. I just want to just shut that door to where they're fighting for second. And we got feedback from Tyler. That's just what we did. Once I seen them rotating around us and they kept us in the center, I knew right then and there it was game over.
Yeah, it was convinced. Did you do anything different between New York and California?
Yeah, we actually cut water a lot sooner. And we kept water low. As to where at New York, I was doing 6 to 8 ounces each meal. And Cal, we're only doing 3 ounces of water each meal. So just a mouthful.
Sean Ray, a lot of people in the industry say this young man reminds them of Dexter Jackson. Is this far-fetched, or do you see some resemblance of the legend Dexter Jackson?
No, there's without question, there's a lot of resemblance. Of course, Dexter, one of the greatest bodybuilders to ever do the business. And I think a lot of that had to come from the fact that he stayed within striking distance. You never saw Dexter Jackson big and fat off season. Remember Lee Priest used to kind of go up and come down, and the bigger bodybuilders go up and come down. But Dexter always kind of stayed close, which gave him the advantage to compete a lot more often. And Antonio is right in that vein that Dexter was. Me personally, I figured you were going to walk away with the California after New York. I knew that's a perfect show for you. But personally, I'd try to take a page out of Dexter's book, man. I'd be headed to Dubai. I try to hit as much of these shows that are coming up as you can, because there's nothing you really need to do. You don't have to get bigger, you don't need to get more ripped, and you seem to be able to carry the conditioning. So I don't like to hear from a guy that's got everything. So I need another 6 months to improve one thing. Those big guys are gonna still be there, and they're gonna show up for those bigger shows, but there's shows out there that you can rack up those dollar bills and still make a huge impact at the Olympia, because there's not a lot that you have to do. You have a long torso like Dexter does, but it's at the end of the day, you're able to make it work for you. You're a little slight in the calves, your hamstrings, your legs, all of that stuff kind of looks very similar, although Dexter's got some great arms.
Right.
There's not a whole lot you have to go back and work on getting ready for the Olympia that's going to change a whole lot based on the dynamic of the playing field. So talk to your coach, but I would not take my foot off the gas. There's money on the table right now. There's shows that have your name on it. I remember you in Reno Weren't you very close in Brazil? Wasn't there controversy over in Brazil for you?
Yeah.
Dude, you're always right there. And I don't know that sitting on the sidelines and letting these other guys qualify is going to do you any good. I'd go out there and get that paper and go right into the Olympia. You should talk to Dexter. He'll tell you.
Yeah.
So, what is the game plan here, Tonio? Obviously, you win a show, California State. You battled it out with Martin Fitzwater and Nick Walker. Are you shutting it down, or are you following the advice of Sean Ray and getting a few more dollars before the Olympia?
Oh, I love competing. So, I was definitely down, to keep going. Keep competing. Justin wants to pull it back and prepare for Olympia. I talked to Tyler after New York, and he said he wanted me to come sharper for Cal. And then he said in the longer run, build thicker hamstrings and bigger chest. And then after winning Cal, I also talked to Sandy. And the only feedback she gave me was, if you don't come sharper for Olympia, she's going to smack me. So.
Of course. That's normal. But you know what? You got to remember, Tonio, that you weren't in the Olympia. It was the Cal, okay? And the Olympia is still months away.
Right.
So you're going to hear that from everybody. You win. I remember I got second place at the Mr. Olympia, and John Brown said, I got to put on another 15 pounds. It wasn't in the cards. Where was that 15 pounds going to go on me, right?
Right.
So I just kept doing what I was doing, and the changes, because I'm a little shorter like you and a little lighter like you, I just kept doing what I was doing, and it was working. You can't really, at this stage, pack on another 10 or 15 pounds and think that you're going to, go up there and knock off Samson. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Be more realistic and go get those wins when they can present themselves at shows that present themselves. All right. I mean, you're in the Olympia already. Why let these guys go out and get that paper? I wouldn't do it if I were you. I'd go out and get it all. Go get it all.
Tarek, can I completely give a complete different argument from Sean?
Absolutely. I love
Ron.
I love people that disagree with Sean Ray and Bob Ciccarillo.
Okay, Sean, of all respect, but I think when guys like you and Dexter, well, you didn't do as many shows. Dexter did a lot of shows. You're talking about Cormier. These guys that did multiple shows throughout the year.
Vince Taylor.
They were already, physique-wise, they were where they needed to be. They didn't need to bring up any body parts. I think it's a different game. It's a different situation for Tonio. He does want to move up at the Olympia. He can answer in a second, but 8th place at the Olympia is great, but I'm sure he wants to do better than 8th, and his body needs a little break. He just did 3 shows in a row that weren't all back-to-back. There was some time, so he's been in prep for quite a while. He needs to have his health phase. He needs to have a little bit of what tiny little bit off season he can, because it's all about making improvements and getting the most complete physique he can now to move up the ladder. 8th place is awesome. 6th place would be better. And he's got the goods. He's got the structure, the muscle shapes, the tie-ins, everything to move up. He just needs to improve a little bit. And I feel like hitting all these shows, it's great to keep making money and do the business of bodybuilding, as you always say. Great, but it's also a matter of pride to move up the Olympia. And I'm curious to know what Tonio has to say.
No, yeah, that's the goal, place better at the Olympia. I remember my first Open Olympia, I was last place, dead last. Mm-hmm. To come in and hit 8th now it's all progression, you know what I mean? And I talked to Dexter a lot, and he says it too, move at your pace, do it the right way. Don't rush anything and keep your line. So, I think that's fairly what I've been doing. Mm-hmm. And even going into this year's Olympia, I know we'll do better than 8th. I don't care who's new in the Olympia or who didn't do it the year I did it. We're coming with something better, and we'll be bigger and better than this as well.
So here's my question to all of you guys, including Tonio Burton. We are at the end of May, so let's get May out of the way here. He's got June, July, August, and September. He's got 4 months to, realistically, how much weight is he going to add in 4 months? Are we going to see a dramatic difference at the Olympia because he's going to grow 10, 15 pounds of muscle? I almost have to agree with Sean here. He's in shape, And one of the things that we're missing right now in the current state of bodybuilding is not size. Plenty of guys there with size. What we're missing is conditioning and beautiful lines. You know, Martin Fitzwater made a name for himself in New York, and he could have stopped competing in Detroit because he earned his qualification. But him going to New York and placing second to Nick Walker positioned him going into the Olympia with a lot of momentum. If Tonio Burton goes to the Legion Sports Festival and capture another win, or like Sean Ray said, goes to Dubai and wins that show, my man, that's a lot of momentum. And the key question is he going to really get that much bigger if he takes these 3-4 months off or whatever to gain that much size? Sean, I'll start with you.
Sure. I mean, I understand what Ron's talking about, but this is not when you take a break. You get ready for the Olympia all year round. This is not a 300-pound bodybuilder trying to come down to make 220 pounds to be in shape. This is a guy that's probably not going to change weight-wise very much between now and October because there's just not enough time to put that kind of quality beef on. He puts on another 5 pounds, he can lose the condition that Sandy's advising him. You need to be in more condition. The reason he's so good is potentially because he is on the track to being in better condition. And you can't necessarily do both. Gain 10 pounds and come in better condition when you're what? How tall are you, Tonio? 5'5", 5'6"?
Yeah, 5'7".
All right. So
right there.
And
yeah.
how much do you weigh? What do you weigh?
For a cow, I was 224.
All right. So again, there's not a whole lot that you're going to be able to do. I remember the late Mohammed bin Aziza. They kept telling him to be bigger and bigger and bigger, but he was at his best when he was small, and that's when he beat Dorian Yates. When he got bigger, his lines smoothed out, and lo and behold, I wound up beating him. Everybody keeps talking about it, coming back to myself. My personal experience is I've seen great bodybuilders take away their lines because they try to pack on that extra muscle that just is impossible to do with that short time frame. And Mohammed bin Aziza was a classic example. He put on a little bit too much size, got a little bit watery, and he started going down in placements. You keep your foot on the gas, and by that I just mean keep doing what you're doing. Like Dexter, like Labrada, these shows are just warm-ups. This is just on the way. And, you know, it's a $100,000 payday out in Dubai. That's nothing to sneeze at. And all of these shows for the men's bodybuilding have increased their prize money. So you have to have something to show for your body of work. And my wisdom is coming from hindsight. I'm on the sidelines. I'm 22 years removed from the bodybuilding stage. If I was a young guy competing now and I'm seeing the federation throw more prize money at these pro shows, I got to go get it because I know at the Olympia, it's a different ball game with different players. If you wind up 8th again, it's just kind of a rerun of last year. But if you wind up winning 3 more shows this year, which is within your grasp, that says a lot for your resume. And that's how Dexter, Vince Taylor, Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler, they were doing it and they were much bigger than you. So I don't think it's impossible. I don't think the game's changed that much. You're cut from that cloth. If you put your mind to it, you could certainly do it and still make improvements going into the Olympia, especially winning extra money. That'll give you the incentive. Ron?
I still disagree, and here's why. Sorry. I feel like being in prep for all those shows is going to make it more difficult for Tonio to be fresh and his body respond and get that extra level of conditioning that he's going to need. Also, it's not about size and body weight at this point. I don't think Tonio needs to be much bigger. It's just filling in little gaps, a little more chest, especially upper chest, a little more hams, get some ham drop from the side and condition. He's going to be right there. But I would be concerned if I was his coach, if he's hitting all these shows and if he's in prep, because Dubai is August, correct?
July. End of July.
Then he's going to have to jump right back into prep in a couple of weeks, basically, for that.
Sure, it's $100,000, Ron.
I mean, who else is doing it?
I mean, I'm just saying, what was the cow? Was the cow 20 grand?
15.
All right. 100,000 and 15. It gives me a good incentive to get ready for the Dubai show. And you know what? It's on the way to the Olympia. He would have to train harder knowing he's got to compete at the end of July. He literally has a month of June just to kind of maintain and stabilize and turn it up at the beginning of July. Foot race.
Tonio, Sean Ray thinks you should go one direction. Ron Harris thinks you should go another direction. I'm confused myself. What do you say?
I mean, I heard about Legion Sports Fest. That's right before Olympia. I mean, I feel like that's a good show to do if it's doing something else before Olympia, because it's just going to prepare you to be in shape for the O. As far as doing, Chicago and then jumping to Tampa and in Texas or whatever, yeah, it's big prize money at those shows. But at the same time, I think as all bodybuilders, we get tired too. And the things we do, for bodybuilding to be ready on stage and compete, we got to take a break from that stuff as well. That's what part of staying healthy is about.
Let me remind you that you were 8th place, but let's just say you jump up to 6th place. It still doesn't give you $100,000 in the bank, even if you make the progress into the top 6, which is reachable. But you can certainly, from my cheap seat, I think you can do both. That's me. Because of your build, because of your height, because of your conditioning. I just don't see where you got to have this big. You could take literally the month of June off and start July.
Let's be strategic here, okay? He took 3rd at New York Pro, and he won the Cal. I think out of the top guys, I think Nick Walker shutting it down, Martin Fitzwater shutting it down. We have the guys that placed ahead of him. Brandon has an automatic qualification.
Yeah.
People that have placed ahead of him that need to earn a qualification are Hunter Labrada, Andrew Jacked. Is that right? Is there anybody who plays?
Regan, not Regan. Michael. Crizo.
Michael Crizo. So Michael Crizo is going to compete at the M-Pro, but he's got to face Baruz Tabani there. Good luck with that Baruz Tabani. He's like as dry as the freaking desert, okay?
Yeah,
so
he looks good.
Yeah,
I believe William Bonak's doing that too.
William Bonak. So one of them is going to qualify there, but it wouldn't be past me if Baruz Tabani goes to Dubai. I mean, Baruz Tabani wins a lot of shows. We just can't get him in the country. It would be ironic if he wins Dubai and can't make it to the Olympia. But I think Hunter and Andrew Jack have an interest in doing Texas, Tampa, and Chicago, right?
Right.
Hunter, I heard Hunter's doing the Italy show, which Nathan DeAsha from UK, another guy who really can't seem to get into the US, is doing.
Do you know anybody, Ron, that's doing Dubai?
I haven't heard any.
Beirut is.
Beirut is.
Sean said, yeah.
Sean, if nobody wants to do Dubai, maybe we should jump in.
100%.
How much is for 4th place, 5th place?
Look, I coined the phrase "the business of bodybuilding" for a reason. And like everybody, you're already qualified for the Olympics, so that's a given. Now you don't want to be a pace car on a racetrack. I mean, we're going to add in Brandon Curry. I heard Big Ramy may be coming back. You got Big Nick, you got Hottie, and you got Derek, you got Big Samson. It's going to be a stacked lineup at the Olympia. Maybe you can move up a place, maybe 2. That's the goal. But you have to have something to show for what you're doing. And you know what? You're putting in the same amount of work for the Olympia as you would for this other $100,000 show. Do I want to get ready for a $10,000, $20,000, $15,000 show or $100,000 show? Because what's 2nd place? I don't think 2nd place is $10,000. So to me, the dollar's got to make sense because I got to do the same amount of work if I'm going to Tampa or Chicago or back to Reno. I mean, hell, I got to fly a little bit further, and I'm going to see those guys on the Olympia stage no matter what, no matter who shows up in Dubai. I just think for me, the timing of that show where it's at the end of July, it gives me a break getting ready for it because I could take a couple of weeks to cruise in June, ramp it up in the middle of June for Dubai. Dubai comes, it's over. I have a couple of weeks in August to relax, and then just ramp it back up again in September. You're not going to put on 20 pounds between now and September or October. It doesn't make sense. I think Ron's a little bit too soft. Ron's soft. He's a father.
Tonio, what does your coach say? Because I'm sure you've talked this over.
Oh yeah. So we do put on size fairly easy. I mean, when we did the Arnold in April, we were 219, 220. So the Cal we were 225. So that's a couple of months right there.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks or whatever. So I mean, he wants to,
right?
Huh?
They told you at the Cal you have to be harder. So 225 might be a little heavy.
I mean, yeah, every show is, come sharper. So, we play with it here and there. But, we wanted to take a break and take a little downtime and not downtime, but come off of everything.
Okay.
because we've been at it for so long. You know what? We started prep in February. Yeah, in February. So from February to now, we've been, going at it. So
Well, let me
to
tell you
come,
something.
hell phase is needed.
Let me tell you something. Now is not the time to rest. Now is when, if you're trying to move up in that Olympia, right now is when you start. I wish you can come out here and go with me to the gym. Oh,
Well, I'm still hitting the gym. I definitely won't miss the gym. You know what I mean?
don't take your foot off the gas, bro. Turn it up.
No,
Sean,
definitely not.
You're on the right track. You're doing great, man. I mean,
Hey,
I wasn't surprised what you did in California.
Tonio, we're all excited about your success. Obviously, we have a disagreement in the live panel, but in the end of the day, it's your decision. Here's the thing. I'm really excited to see you against Rafael at the Olympia stage.
Yeah, the rematch.
A rematch, because look, I'm Brazilian. I was at the Arnold Classic, and I'll be the first one to say, in some poses, you did beat Rafael convincingly. And I told Rafael myself, I said, this guy Tonio Burton is no joke, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, if there's an earthquake in Reno, he'll be the survivor. He's a crazy dog. Okay. No.
Hey, Tonio, did you win the Cal last year too?
No, I got a second there. I won New York last year.
Okay, that's right. Who won that?
Do you have a message for Rafael Brandão now that both of you are qualified to the Olympia?
No, I mean, he knows what it is. I'm here. I'm coming. It's as simple as that. Yeah. All his minions know too, who keep commenting on my stuff. So, that's why they're there. That's why they're there. They know I'm here. I'm coming.
Did you think you beat him? Did you think you beat him in Brazil last year too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I feel like I should have beat him this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Or this year. I'm sorry. I agree with you.
I gotta tell you, Rafael looked incredible.
He did.
Rafael looked incredible at the Arnold, but he didn't look as good in Brazil. Now, Rafael did beat Tonio in some poses, and Tonio did beat Rafael in some poses. So it was a fairly close decision. And I think both of them at the Olympia, this is going to be a rematch for the days. And the Brazilian fans, they love the rivalry. You know what I mean? They love the rivalry. And all my message to all the Brazilian fans is this. As much as you love Rafael, which is perfectly fine, Rafael is the best Brazilian bodybuilder in the history. Do not mess with this Tonio Burton guy. He's a crazy wild dog. He has no fear of going back to Brazil next year and facing Rafael. And I know Tonio since he won the light heavy at the USA's. He's a crazy wild dog.
We already talked about it too. I'm already planning for it. I want to go back and compete at the Arnold Brazil again.
Tarek, who from Brazil besides has he been in the Olympia already? What Brazilians have been in the Olympia? Besides Luis Freitas.
Luis Freitas.
Luis Freitas, yeah, very good reference. But Luis Freitas made it to the Olympia, but he's nowhere near what Rafael is as a bodybuilder. Okay,
36 years ago.
Rafael has placed in the top 10. Rafael has won plenty of shows, has faced stiff competition. So Rafael Brandão is the greatest open bodybuilder of all times in Brazil. And I think his result placing third at the Arnold Classic really cemented that. Now,
I also thought Eduardo Correa was pretty good.
And Eduardo Correa is a 212. So I often make this distinction. Eduardo Correa is the man that put Brazilian bodybuilding in evidence.
Yeah.
And he might be so far the guy that has a better historical track record because he placed second place to Flex Lewis many times. In 2014, people think that he even beat Flex Lewis. But Rafael is not only the best, but so far he's been the only Brazilian bodybuilder to really have a success outside, right? And a lot of people thought he was going to win the Arnold Classic and it was going to be a convincing victory after what he did at the Arnold. And then Tonio Burton came on the list. And I told everybody, this guy has won the New York Pro, man. He's a very dangerous guy. And it turned out to be very dangerous. So I'm excited about the rematch. And I'm excited to see how excited the fans are going to get to see Tonio against Rafael.
Yeah. I kind of egg him on too. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, related to that, Tonio. I'm going to bring it up and stir the pot, but it's all good. You did that interview a couple days after the Brazil show, and your emotions were still running very, very high. You were heated, and you you could have made the argument for the win for you. I thought it could have gone either way. In the future, if anything like that ever happens where there's a close decision and you end up on the losing end of it, will you at least wait 3, 4, 5 days before you do any interviews and your emotions have sort of subsided? Because I'm sure, looking back, you're like, why'd I say that? Why'd I say that?
I was talking to Tamer, and he was, we're going back over things that I said, and there was a lot I did say that I didn't mean it the way it came out. As far as like, if certain judges were there, then this would have been different.
Right.
And so, I got his point of view on it. So we talked about that. And but as far as like being mad at, the show or the judging or whatever, I wasn't mad or, no animosity towards it whatsoever. It was just more so I feel like I like Rafa's physique. Like I said it multiple times, we're very similar. And he is the bigger guy. I just said, the way his backside looked and the amount of water that he was holding, in his front shots, like his abs, that I feel like I should have won it. I wasn't saying that he sucked or anything. I just say he wasn't the same Rafa in Ohio.
He was way off that.
Let's make this clear right now. Are you beating his ass at the Olympia?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's going to have to work for this one.
Oh, boy.
No. Are you beating his ass at the Olympia?
Yeah.
Is he like watching you place ahead of him?
I will place ahead of him at Olympia. That's fact. I feel like it's just like when I lost to Ross and Cal, all the talk that was going on with that. And then when I made it, into the second call out and he was in the last call outs, people were asking if I was upset that we didn't stand next to each other. I went and I proved my point. I wanted to do so much better that we weren't in the same call out. So I'm going to treat this one the same way. The feedback I got from the Arnold was my chest wasn't as full as his. So if I got to do a few push-ups, to pump up before stepping on stage, why not? So, I think he has to be coming with it. And I think with the amount of support he has behind him and everyone telling him how great he is, he's chill, he's relaxed. He's like a snake when they get a meal, they go into a sleeping, like a calm state. I'm not like that. I haven't forgot about it and I'm grinding for it. Me getting back to Olympia was motivating because of that.
Yeah. Tony, where are you based out of? What gym? What city? What state? Where you at?
I'm in Reno right now, so I'll go to Stimulus. Or I'll go to American Iron, the same one Flex trained at when he was out here.
And I want to give a shout out to your sponsor, Dragon, right?
Oh,
they're a Brazilian company. I think they love the publicity you gave them in Brazil, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like, Dragons have my back this whole way, too. So they helped me out a lot in Brazil.
Yeah. Did you stay in Brazil for the last few weeks of prep for that show?
I was out there for the last 5 weeks.
Wow. So was that the longest? I'm sure that's the longest you've ever been there. What was that experience like? Because we're Americans, man. Every country is weird to us.
At first it was uncomfortable in the sense of you don't know Portuguese, and you're walking everyone by yourself. But once I started going to the gym more, I was walking to the gym actually, and stores I was walking past, they were, more than welcoming. They'll come out and try to talk to me. I do my best. Or if I went to the grocery store, same thing. I was walking everywhere, whether it was daytime or night. Everybody was cool. I liked it. Brazil as a country is very beautiful. Like it's nice. I think their traffic is crazy. They don't believe in blinkers or anything. So I wouldn't drive out there. But other than that, Brazil was great. I like their gym culture. Ironburg, I think is the gym.
Yeah.
I tell them as far as their infrastructures with their buildings, it's third world, but
yeah, it is.
When you get in their gym, it's like they're living in the future. They have machines I wish we had.
Yeah. Do they treat bodybuilders a little bit more respectfully and with more? I've heard the Brazilian fans embrace bodybuilding much, much more so than the Americans who've gone there. They say, I can't believe how many people come out want to take pictures and stuff. Whereas in America, we just get dirty looks and they whisper about us.
Oh yeah, you felt like you're a superstar. You walk into a gym and everyone's eyes are big and they're running up and asking to take pictures. I think Johan had to tell a few people to leave us alone a few times, but it's all, it's all love that they have for it. And so even when the whole debate was going on with, me and the Brazilians, it wasn't them attacking me. It was the passion that they have behind it and the aggression behind what they stand behind. It's kind of like how we are with, football and basketball and, it's the same way they treat bodybuilding there. So that's why I tell everyone, if they're not going to go compete there, they need to go see what their fans are like at those expos. Because if we had that here, bodybuilding will be on a whole nother level.
Wow.
100%. I actually had the honor of being an MC for the first Arnold Classic out there in Brazil, in Rio, and that was Brandon Curry's first Arnold Classic victory out there. I think it was 2015, and then Steve Kukla won it after that, and that was the year that I think Cedric wound up getting disqualified for missing the athletes' meeting. He got stuck in traffic.
Yep.
And he missed the meeting. And and they kicked him out of the show, Lee Thompson. But yeah, the fans down there are fanatic. They really do support the sport.
And, as a Brazilian, I know the fans, even though they might be rooting for Rafael to beat you at the Olympia, there's some love because they recognize that you went down to Brazil, you competed in Brazil. So they truly, in the end, they love the rivalry and they appreciate the fact that you've gone to Brazil, you visited. And, I love the Brazilian fans. I love the Iranian fans. They're very passionate and we wouldn't have it any other way. So we'll see. Tonio Burton makes a strong statement that he's going to beat Rafael Brandão at the Mr. Olympia. I might even send a link to Rafael Brandão right now. See how upset he is.
You should have had him on here too.
Well, here's the question. Here's the question. You went to Brazil almost 5 weeks before the show. How soon will you go to Las Vegas before the Olympia?
I mean, Vegas is 6 hours away, so a week or two. I have a place out there as well. So
Vegas has much more. There's so much diversity in the gyms. They got great gyms out there all over the place.
I wouldn't go to Dragons only because how packed it gets. Like it's just a lot of fans going to fill it up. So you're not going to get a workout at Dragons like that. But Flex does.
I think they'll appreciate. I think they appreciate you not endorsing that gym.
Yeah, I mean, he does close it down for a certain time for the pros to go lift though.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of good choices.
But Hide's gym, that's a good one to go to.
Hide would like you to say Hide's Powerhouse.
Yeah,
and don't forget Iris. If you leave out Iris, she's gonna come for you. You better get it right.
Dexter.
Get it right. It's Iris and Hide's.
You're right. My bad.
They got a couple of other gyms out there. A new torture gym, I think they have.
Torture gym is nice. Their equipment is real good. Yeah. I did a video shoot there.
Torture Gym has the new tech equipment, and they have incredible equipment. Also, we have Dragon's Lair. We have plenty of gyms in Las Vegas, and I'm talking to all those gyms because a lot of them want to be the host for the Olympia to get all the competitors there. So I want to go back to the New York Pro, right? Your victory in California was very convincing, okay, Tonio? I mean, I think Sandy had you in the middle the whole time. And I looked at the pictures, I looked at the video, and I said to myself, this is game over. Tonio is at a different level right here. But at the New York Pro, you faced Martin Fitzwater and Nick Walker and Beef Stew. Did you expect to lose to Martin? You knew Nick Walker was coming with a lot of mass, but a lot of people had you in second. You ended up losing to Martin Fitzwater. How was that experience?
I seen on social media how everyone had it going between me and Nick. So it was a shock, I'll say, to have the top two being Nick and Martin. Martin's not a bad bodybuilder though, so it wasn't like it didn't feel bad being behind Martin. But I did tell Martin the year he took off, or the time he took off to, work on himself as far as his physique goes, it paid off. And I told him, I was like, that made me want to take time off and grow, because he came back and he looked like a freak. So, I mean, And he's very aesthetic too. His waist stayed small and tight, and he blew up everything else. So I mean, it didn't really hit me in the sense of, you know, making me upset or anything like that. It just pushed me even harder to come into Cal, because I believe the caliber bodybuilder that I've become, it should have been me in that 1 and 2 spot, you know, battling it out with Nick. I think had we brought what we looked at Cal to New York, it would have been that.
Well, let me ask you this, because Detroit was a show that you waited until, I guess, a day or two too late.
Yeah.
And I think it was Thursday was when you tried, and they said no, Tuesday was the absolute deadline.
Yeah, no, Monday was the deadline.
Was it Monday? And yeah, you guys didn't try till what day? Wednesday?
Till Tuesday.
Till Tuesday. Oh, so you're 1 day late.
Right.
A day late and a buck short. So Martin won that. And it was a very weak lineup. There was like 6 people in the open. You know, a lot of people felt you fumbled the ball. You really you lost a whole opportunity. You would have had, they were saying easy Olympia qualification there. But then we saw, you know, Martin at the New York Pro. He was actually much sharper, I think. He was probably 10% sharper in New York than he had been in Detroit.
Right.
Had he looked, well, we know what he looked like in Detroit. If you had been able to roll, because that was it 1 week after? It
1 week later,
exactly 1 week later. What do you think with a little bit less condition? Because honestly, he outconditioned you at New York Pro. He outconditioned just about everybody. I was very impressed with he was in better condition than Nick for sure. Looking back, it doesn't matter now. You're both going to the Olympia, but do you think you would have had him at the Detroit if you had asked to be, you know, applied a day earlier and got into that show?
Yeah, I think what we looked at Arnold, because that was before we did Cal, one of my best looks, and I think bringing that to the Detroit, we would have won that one.
Okay, fair enough.
I have to agree. I think Martin was not as his best in Detroit, and I think if Tonio were there, he would have won that event. But Martin was a lot better in New York.
Yeah. He was a whole new bodybuilder in New York.
Yeah, he would be the first one to say that.
Yeah, but you can't win the shows that you don't enter, and trying to jump in the week of the show is a little bit. I'm glad they didn't let you in, because more bodybuilders trying to do that will have to know, as a promoter, they got to promote the show, and I'm sure they would have loved to use a name like yours to help promote the show, get people excited to come and see you compete. So pick the show out and commit to it. And, you know, it never works out when you do something last minute anyways. Yeah. So maybe the best was that you didn't do it.
Right.
Little history lesson that Sean can back me up on with a little more facts than I can. Back in the day, I think it was January, you had to submit all the shows that you wanted to compete in and sign contracts for them. So you had to have it all planned out the year before. You weren't jumping into shows back then. That wasn't even allowed. Am I right, Sean?
Yeah, you're right. And here's the thing. It never works out when you do it. I did it. I did it as an exception in 1996, Ron. I was training with Flex Wheeler, and everyone was telling me that I should jump in and do the Ironman and do the Arnold Classic. I didn't want to do it because it was like January, and I was getting these rave reviews of how good I was looking because I was training with Flex. Flex gets puffy and watery. Yeah. I didn't. I mean, I got a little puffy, but he got big and watery, so we had to suck him down. And as he was sucking down, I kept hearing these little influences that I need to go ahead and do the show, jump in the show. I was friends with John Balick, the promoter of the Ironman. I knew the people at the Arnold Classic, being a former champion. They made exceptions for me. I jumped in both of those shows, and neither went my way. I was third at the Ironman, and I was fifth at the Arnold Classic. I learned the hard way, because you go in those shows the last minute because you think you're going to win.
Yeah.
So getting third and the fifth is like getting slapped in the face for me. And they were writing me off after that 96 Arnold Classic where I got fifth place. Paul Dillette, Vince Taylor, Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler. Those were no slouches I lost to, but they were done. They were telling me I was finished.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's the year I got second in the Olympia because I got so pissed and went to Chicago. But I wouldn't do anything last minute. It doesn't work out well. It didn't work out well for me, so I don't advise it for anyone else.
Well, I think the situation is different with these guys now because they can literally, you can do a show Saturday, and if you don't win, you can say, well, there's one next week. I'll jump into that, and they do. And sometimes it works out well in their favor because they're already prepped. You sort of rushed your prep because people were encouraging you not to follow your usual timeline. But like Tonio he was already in great shape from Arnold South America. It wouldn't have been, I don't think it would have hurt him one bit. I think he would have given Martin a hell of a run for his money in Detroit.
And now we'll never know, but come the Olympia, we're going to find out.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Even
one
better.
thing is for sure, okay? Tonio Burton has competed in 3 pro shows within the last 2 months. And he's won one. He placed second in the Arnold Brazilian, third in New York Pro. All those guys that he lost, Nick Walker, Martin Fitzwater, and Rafael Brandão, are potentially, Rafael Brandão and Nick Walker have been in the top 10. Actually, Nick Walker has been 3rd place, but they're potentially top 10 guys. So, I mean, you got to look at Tonio Burton as one of the top 10 best bodybuilders of our time. The key question is, we know Nick has experience being in that top 5. He's placed top 3. Is Tonio Burton at his best better than Martin Fitzwater, better than Rafael Brandão? And all those questions will be answered at the Mr. Olympia, where he's going to have his rematch with Rafael and Martin. Do you have a goal? Is 5th place, 4th place, first call out? What is your goal, Tonio?
I mean, first call out would be perfect. I love to be in the first call out. You know, I can handle the amount of posing that they put them through. We see that on stage. I don't sweat at all. You know, I don't stomach breathe or anything. But me being realistic and what I want to do, I'm looking at, you know, that 5th place, pushing it, but 6th at the Olympia this year is what I'm going for.
And I'm going to give you credit because you're one of the best posers in the IFBB Pro League. You're the first one to hit the pose. You know, I see a lot of guys taking too long to hit the pose. Tonio is one of the fastest ones to hit the pose. His transitions are fast, and, you know, it grabs the attention of the judges. I see some guys taking a long time to hit the pose. By that time, Steve is already calling the next pose, and we didn't even see you posing. So I want to commend you on that, Tonio.
Appreciate you. I was like, I owe that to Joey, the KJ Center stage. He's in Vegas, but when we pose, I mean, it could be the night before the show. He's going to make me do rounds, and he calls them out. And if I'm slowing down, we'll just do another round. If my stomach, I let it go, we'll do it again. So it is just constant. We'll do 5, 6 rounds nonstop, just going.
Hey, Sean, I have a question for you. First of all, have you recovered your Instagram?
Yeah, I did. It took me 3 days. I didn't. My daughter did. She's an influencer, and actually she had a friend in New York that was able to get it back. And I don't know how it was taken down, but I got a notification that said I'm permanently deleted.
Well, don't worry, Sean. We'll try to get you deleted again.
I'm back. I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay.
My Olympia will be deleted again. I'm sure.
In your opinion, going to the Olympia, based on what you saw, is Tonio Burton placing ahead of Rafael Brandão?
There's too many factors. I mean, look, one of these guys could stub their toe. They can catch a cold, eat too many carbohydrates, listen to take the wrong advices. I can tell you that when they were toe-to-toe on that stage, you could have flipped a coin. So one guy's got to win, one guy's got to lose. Typically, the rubber match is always where it's the best. You're doing it on the biggest stage. I can guarantee you this much, Tonio. Rafael ain't taking time off. He's not taking a break. He's not resting.
I hope not.
He is. I know. That's not even a word you should don't ever use that word, getting ready for the Olympia, that I need to recover. I need a break. Ron's a little more, you know, fatherly. Ron hasn't been on the Olympia stage. Ron, listen.
I have been on the Olympia stage, not to compete, but I've stepped on the stage.
Yeah, I've seen you there.
Yeah.
But do not take it easy on yourself, man. If ever there was an opportunity to suffer, it starts today. Like right after this phone call, everything all the way to the Olympia is intentional. It's purposeful. If you plan on being higher than what you were, you got to do more than what you did. That's the only way it's going to happen, because the lineup is going to be more stacked this year than it was last year. And so you got to do more. Now is not the time to rest.
Okay, so he dodged the question, Ron.
Sorry,
but
Ron.
Even though he's been on the Olympia stage, I believe you're the one who's going to have the conviction and answer the question. Ron Harris, based on what you saw from Tonio Burton and Rafael Brandão, if you had to put money on one of them to place ahead of the other, who would that be?
Are they both in top condition?
Both at their best.
At their best? I think it's wow. You put me on the spot because, man, I mean, Rafael in top condition. I'd have to see them next to each other because we never saw Tonio next to that Rafael. The Rafael we saw in Columbus would have convincingly beat the Tonio in Brazil. The Rafael that I saw in Brazil, it wasn't convincing at all. So he's a bigger guy.
Great answer, Ron.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I'm not going to be diplomatic and say Tonio would kick his ass. I'm not going to do that. And I just want to add one other thing. Getting back to taking breaks, you used the phrase, Sean, keep your foot on the gas.
Yes.
So I'm going to use that phrase use gas in another context. You can't stay on the things that guys need to use for these shows all the time. You won't have any longevity in the sport. Your health will suffer. Yeah.
That's
so
true.
by encouraging people to stay in prep and do show after show after show means inadvertently you're saying you need to stay on all those things.
No. I did not say that. I said, do not take it easy. This is time to turn it up. What you do in your kitchen, in your closet, in your bathroom with your coach and all that, none of that stuff has anything to do with training harder, getting more rest, eating more food, focusing, dot the I, cross the T's. You got to do more now. All that other stuff you're talking about, I got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but if you're telling someone to do multiple shows, do a show. You just did a show in April, 2 shows in May.
Right.
So Dubai is July, Olympia is October. If you do the math on how long these preps take and when you need to be in prep for these shows, if I'm coaching him, and he's got a great coach, and I tend to think his coach agrees with my line of thinking, he'd want him to take that aspect easy at certain times and only turn it up when needed so he can come in at his best. I hear what you're saying, Sean. Don't leave money on the table, business of bodybuilding. I get all that. I just think Tonio is a work in progress. He's still in very much the early stages of what I think is going to be a great career. I want to see Tonio doing this for years and years. Remember, Dexter wasn't winning shows right away either. It took Dexter a few years to really find his footing and become that Dexter, the Blade that was destroying everybody on stage. Tonio has that potential. Taking his time, doing it right, taking breaks in a certain sense. He's not going to stop training hard and eating right. That's never going to change. But by pacing himself in certain aspects and taking the time, taking a little bit of off season to bring up those things like the hams and the chest, that's going to make him more complete physique and just make him deadlier, where he doesn't have to worry about winning second tier shows. He's going to be in the conversation to win the Arnold, win the Olympia. This is still a couple years away, but I see it coming for him.
That's a good point. Sean Ray has a good point, and Ron Harris has a good point as well. I usually try to create conflict between my co-hosts, but this time I didn't have to. They disagreed themselves.
Father Ron,
like I should.
I'm calling him Father Ron or Pastor
I'm gonna
Ron
call Jake Wood and say, "Hey, boss, I don't even need to take a paycheck on this one." Tonio, I want to finish with you because, man, I have a special place in my heart for you because I did see you turning pro. And Patrick Sampson called me and he said, Tarek, I have this really good competitor. He just won my show and I'm going to pay for his registration for the USAs. And I remember he gave me his credit card as a promoter.
Wow.
And we passed it along to Tracy, and he paid for your registration at the USAs. And then you show up at the USAs, you win the light heavy against Cleves.
Mm-hmm.
What's Cleves' first name from Palm Springs? Michael Cleves, yes. Huge battle. I mean, he went on to win the overall at North Americans after he lost to you on that event. And wasn't that the year that Nick Walker took second?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Walker took second, and Zach Zach won the event. But, you turned pro as a light heavy, and you had beautiful physique. And a lot of people speculated about you being in the 212 and the Classic. And it turned out that you're one of the best top 10 open bodybuilders. So what do we know, right? You just grew, and now you're a superstar. You're making money. But I want to commend you and congratulate. As a judge, there's nothing better for us to judge than to see guys turning pro and being successful. And I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Now, we'll finish with your last message to all your fans in the United States. We got tons of fans here that are defending you against the Brazilians. Maybe we can meet in the sea and have you guys fight over Tonio and Rafael. What is your message to all the fans that love you? And I know you have a huge following, especially in Nevada, northern Nevada. All the people from Reno and Las Vegas love you. What is your message to all the fans, everybody that supports you?
No, I mean, for my Brazilian fans, because I have a lot of them, they message me every day. I talk to as many as I can. I appreciate the love that they give. And I would never look at Brazil as a bad place. I do plan on going back, even if it's just to go and visit. I loved it out there. And for the people here, I mean, come Olympia, I'm going to put on for my city. We're going to do what we got to do.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw this man turning pro at the USA's, and now he's a multi-pro winner in open bodybuilding. This guy is the Predator. He's won in California. He's won in New York. He's got his rematch against Rafael at the Olympia. I need you to go to olympiaproductions.com. Get your pay-per-view right now, because if you don't watch the Olympia, your life is going to be miserable. I want to thank my co-host. He's the 1987 national champion. He won the Arnold Classic. He won the Ironman. Right now, he drinks Camus at the beach in Hawaii. Sean Ray. Thank you so much, Sean.
All right, brother.
And also, I want to thank one of the great writers of bodybuilding. He has the podcast, the Ron Harris Muscle Show, one of the best writers, in my opinion, in the history of bodybuilding. He makes Peter McGov proud. He's from Boston. If you need tickets for the finals in the NBA, just hit up Ron Harris. He's got extra tickets for you guys. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Tim.
My name is Tarek Elgindi with the Mr. Olympia. We will be back next Wednesday with another great competitor. We'll see you guys next time.